For those of you who don't know, I have never seen a single Fast and Furious movie in my entire life. I haven't even seen the brand new released Fast and Furious 9, or F9, whatever the title's called. Now, the big question that you're probably going to ask is, why are you talking about a movie that you have not seen yet? Well, that's a good question. I usually do the show on movies that I know that I would consider to be either a good movie or a bad movie, and I collaborate with somebody else, and they would talk about the movie being the polar opposite. But today, I decided to do a brand new method because for the sake of content, I can't give up on an incredibly divisive movie as this one that's perfect for a show that's talking about whether or not it's a good movie or a bad movie. So what I decided to do was ask people on my Instagram account and on Facebook what do they think of the movie and whether or not they would say that it's a good film or a bad movie. And we're going to go ahead and figure out a definite answer right now. I'm going to start with the comments that are on my Facebook because there's only 3 comments and they're all pretty much saying the same thing. Good movie, probably not. Entertaining, yes. Another person agrees with that and another person says entertaining but frustrating. So some people are pretty much not considering this to be a good movie, but they would defend their case on saying that this movie is very fun and they liked it for it. In which case is mostly a guilty pleasure, and I've had guilty pleasures before as well. I love Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas movie. It's a bad movie. There's a lot of terrible dialogue. The way they shot the film, it looks ugly and nasty. There are people that are mean in it. But Jim Carrey is so funny in here, and the jokes that they spew out in here are very funny to me, and it's so energetic with the parts of a Jim Carrey movie that I always like seeing, that I can't help but always watch it at every Christmas. So saying that this is a guilty pleasure is not the same as saying it's a good movie, because a guilty pleasure is acknowledging that this is a bad movie, but you're liking the movie for the stuff that's in here because it's entertaining to you. Now we're gonna go ahead and go to my Instagram account, and this person obviously said that it was a bad film, and the reason for it is because it's contrived and convoluted. Another person said, from the outset, it tells you that continuity and plot does not matter, so at that point, I was able to turn my brain off, and I had a pretty great time. And another person said the quite opposite, just saying bad. Now, I have to think about this really. If a movie is acknowledging that a story is not the primary target that you should be focusing on when watching this film, and they're self-aware that what you're supposed to be focusing on is mostly just the action and the insanity that's going on in the film, doesn't count as good. For that, I might have to say that it could depend on the type of movie that you're creating, but if there are past films that have had storytelling being the focus of the movie, and when you're looking at the continuity of this film compared to the other ones, that doesn't necessarily equal a good movie. It means that they're being careless and they're not paying respect to the past films, and this one is supposed to be canon with the other ones. So if this one is within the same storyline, that means that this one is doing a terrible job at trying to tell that. So I don't know if a movie is acknowledging that we shouldn't focus on the story and are supposed to focus on that, even though that would be entertaining. I don't know if that's a good idea to do, since the other ones were probably handled the opposite. This one who said it was bad said, they took it too far this time, in my personal opinion anyway. I spent more time laughing at the absurdity rather than enjoying it. I find they've taken this approach with both Fate of the Furious and Hobbs and Shaw, but this was just far too much for me. They've become a parody of themselves. That's a very good point. This does lead up to the question, when is something that would feel like it is going over the top, but has bring it back close to reality to the point where it's not done that far off, but where is it going to the point where it's not jumping the shark? I say it depends on how much you're wanting to take in the madness versus how much you're wanting to see the depth of the character. And if you're more so enjoying the franchise for the sake of the silliness, maybe it would work for you. But if you more so like the emotional depth that's in the franchise, you would say that it's still missing most of the key elements of why we enjoyed it from the beginning. It's kind of like Stranger Things to me. Season 1 I thought was a perfect blend of doing something that was silly, but still grounded in reality. Season 2 was going a little more darker, but Season 3 decided to forget some of the dramatic elements and just go for pure entertainment. It wasn't like over-the-top silly like the Fast and Furious movies, but it still gave me that same feeling where it's missing that key element that was from the first season. And I don't know what it's like to watch a movie like this, but I have a feeling that the John Wick movies may head into that, because John Wick Chapter 3 was going beyond the insanity. And if it continues to do more films and continue to be even more insane, it might forget what we actually used to like about these movies from the beginning. And I don't know if that would have an effect on me, because I did love the third film for its insane action, but then I would probably be upset because the first film, it actually nailed what it was supposed to do. So I don't know how I would feel if I watched F9 or if I would watch the fourth and fifth movie of the John Wick movies. This person was basically saying the exact same thing as this one. For how unrealistic it is, it's a lot of fun with a lot of action. You could turn your brain off. And yeah, same song, second verse. This person who said it was a good movie says, I would say this because I know exactly what I am getting into, meaning I know it's going to be over the top, crazy, and silly. I found the film to be highly entertaining, and it even gave us more of an insight into Dominic, which I liked. Yes, the space was ridiculous, but I mean, it was enjoyable. Yes, there were numerous things that didn't make sense, but I don't really care. At the end of the day, I am not expecting a masterpiece, so I am satisfied with what I got. Again, I can't say too much about this franchise because I've never seen any of the movies, but if there is more insight on this character, that's a legit good thing. And if you guys disagree with it, let me know down in the comment section below if you think that this guy is wrong. Or maybe there is depth to his character, but people don't like the way that it was handled, or maybe it's the same stuff that we have seen in the past other movies that they've created. If it is something new, then I'm glad that the dude found it. Also, I wonder if there's a difference between nitpicking and actually being critical on a film so that it could actually be a good movie, because a movie like Nobody that was released today, I say that was a very good movie, and there are things that I could pick out that don't make sense. But I'm saying to myself, do I really need to pick those out, because that's not what I'm supposed to focus on? There may be a blurred line between nitpicking and critical analysis. For what a film is trying to do, if it doesn't succeed in what it is doing, there should be some criticisms towards it. But if there are things that other people are probably paying attention to that would say, this doesn't make sense, even though that's not what the movie is going to intend for, I would probably call that nitpicking. I wonder if that goes for the same as saying, like, the story in here is not that good, which, if the story is something that we probably should have been focusing on considering the past other films, maybe it is more of a criticism than it is a nitpick. This person who didn't like the movie said, so I enjoy this franchise generally, but with F9 they are beginning to take things too far out of realism. I don't feel the tension because no one is ever dying from unbelievable stunts, and the monologue which they mentioned this is a poor move on my opinion. More on that subject, bringing Hans back felt like a waste as he didn't play much of a role at the end to justify his survival. Didn't care much for the villains either, and it just all seemed too predictable. Maybe I'm also just getting tired of the repetitiveness of this franchise, but F9 offers very little that I enjoyed. There is an analogy for this. It's like eating candy. When you eat like the king-size pack of the Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup, they taste delicious, and you're like, man, this is the best thing that you ever had on Earth. But if you eat like 4 more packs of the exact same kind throughout your entire day, you start to have a bad reaction to it, and then you feel more of the bitter taste of why it feels bad for you and why you shouldn't keep eating this. It's good for you at times if you want some pleasure, but to constantly have that throughout your entire day, that's not a good thing. People can like things from the Fast and Furious franchise that's over the top and silly, but once you're at the 9th movie and you're starting to see how ridiculous it is, you start to see the problems and it starts to get worse. And for the last thing that I will show you guys is this. I put up a poll on Instagram asking people, is this movie good or bad? And it rounded up to 15 votes, which means that there was 1 vote that split it down in the middle that almost had it in a tie. And the one side that had 8 votes winning over the 7 was the good side. There were more people who insisted that F9 was a good movie than they thought it was a bad movie. Now, this doesn't justify everybody on this planet, it only justifies the people who follow me on my Instagram account and who decided to vote on that poll. And that's all that we have in this video. What do you guys think of this movie? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it's good or bad? Do you think it's enjoyable? Or do you think that it's just getting more and more distasteful? Put your thoughts down in the comment section below and let's have a conversation about it. And like this video if you agree with what I say, or dislike this video if you disagree with what I say. I don't mind the dislikes. So that is it I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video.